Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I did put a video before saying do not miss this one. Do you like the backdrop, by the way? 2 towels, high budget here on this channel. So this video is going to be about all of the problems, the inconsistencies, the contradictions and the things that do not make sense that have come from the inquest, and I suppose overall, really, in the whole case. This is me wrapping it up, this is me concluding it, this is me probably ending the Nicola Bulley case for myself. Can't go on forever, and quite disappointed with this inquest, to be honest with you. I think it asks a lot more questions than it answers. I've got a list of 1 to 9 quite big points that I'm going to make, and I'd love you to get interactive in the comments on this. I want your feedback, I want your thoughts. If you've got any answers or if you've got any sort of reasoning, then please put it in there. Another thing as well, I don't normally do this, it's not my style, right? I don't ask for likes, I don't ask people to, I only ever ask for comments because I like to interact. I don't ask for likes, and I very rarely ask for people to subscribe. But if you would like the video, it just pushes it a bit more. More people can see it. It gets it in the algorithm. A lot of channels ask for likes and they get them and their videos get pushed up. It's not something I like to do, but for this, if you do find it interesting, do give it a like. Thank you. Okay. Number 1. Originally, they said that the riverbank near to the bench where Nicola's phone was found and Willow was found and the harness, etc. We all know about that. They said that the riverbank wasn't very steep. And we all saw that on Sky News. Kay Burley went around doing a little sort of walk around, and her and her colleague both said it wasn't very steep.
And then this is the river bank.
We wander down this way. So this is the bank. A lot of people have been asking about the bank and how steep it is. Doesn't look that steep, does it?
No, it doesn't in some areas, but if all the way to the bank, no, it doesn't. But then if you look further down, Kay, there is a bit of a drop.
Are you comfortable going down there?
Have all been down here, but clearly a bit of a drop off from the bank down there. So if we move back up.
Yeah, and so this is the part of the river where the police think that she has gone into the water. There's no sign here at all of, you know, any scuffs or whatever.
Now, after the inquest, they're saying that it's almost a vertical drop, which is like that, isn't it? Vertical drop, like a cliff edge. Now, the side of the cliffs of Dover is a vertical drop. The side of the Grand Canyon is a vertical drop. But also the side of that cup is a vertical drop. So they're using that terminology just to try and make us think that it was quite a big steep drop. That's a vertical drop. It's all about the size of the drop, isn't it? And to me, and looking at the footage, doesn't really look it. So back then it was not very steep, now it's a vertical drop. Please put your comments in about what you think to some of these. Number 2, the temperature of the water in the River Wire was 3.6 degrees Celsius. And we were told that Nicola died almost immediately. How they know that? There's a lot of guesswork in this, and we'll get down to a whole section about the guesswork that this inquest has done. It was 3.6 degrees. Nicola died almost immediately. Yeah, I've done a bit of research about the temperature of the water of when the Titanic went down with 1,500 people. And it was -2 degrees Celsius. So there's a 5.6 degrees difference there. And it's estimated that those people that went into the Atlantic Ocean in the middle of the night at -2 degrees, it's estimated that they survived for 15 to 45 minutes. Yet Nicola Bulley died almost immediately in 3.6 degree river water in England. Anyone explain that? Now, number 3, this is about all of the guesswork that's come out of this inquest, which really annoys me because it's almost theorising and conspiring themselves and guessing and just going, oh, this could have happened. Just like a lot of us guys who were having our theories and opinions were looking into the scenarios and looking into all the different angles of this and making our own opinions and theories on it. There is a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas. There is a lot of ifs and maybes and did that happen? Could that have happened? I think this. We were told not to do that. Yet the inquest has been full of it. So guesswork is number 3. So much guesswork happened at the inquest. Right. Cause of death was drowning. I'm going to emphasise the words which are guessing words and not fact, basically. Cause of death was drowning. But where? What kind of water? They say it was drowning, but yeah, that could have happened anywhere. Could have happened in a bath, could have happened in a multitude of places. What kind of what? Do we know what kind of water it was found in the lungs? Has been toxicology done? Have they said it was that river water? Just says drowning. Do we know if it was river water or not? I can't find anything on it. Again, this is why your comments are very useful to help me. Because obviously I only know as much as I know with my research. There's a lot of things that I don't. Although 2 women heard a scream, it was not of a nature which caused concern. Says who? Who says it wasn't of a nature that caused concern? Is that the inquest people saying that? Is that the witnesses that say that? And they said it was some distance from where Nicola was. At the time they were heard, Nicola was probably already dead. Probably. This is an inquest. This is about trying to get to the facts and trying to get to the bottom of things. And they're using a lot of words like could and probably and things like that. There's more to come. At the time they were heard, Nicola was probably already dead. But like I said the other day in the video, it's like all of the language and all of the wording that is being used it's almost like they're saying, this is what happened, believe this, and stick with this narrative. Forget everything else. This is what happened. My opinion. In this day and age, you feel like you've got to say my opinion so much. There was a good chance Nicola's first breath was underwater. There was a good chance. Well, there was a good chance that her first breath wasn't underwater as well, if you're going to say that. This terminology at an inquest, I thought it's supposed to be about facts. There was a good chance Nicola's first breath was underwater. Who knows that? Just guessing, innit? It's just guessing that. Do you know what? There's a good chance that England are going to win the Euros next year. Guess what? Probably not going to happen. Good chance though. That's what I think. If Nicola's head was underwater, she could have inhaled 2 litres of water, which would have been a lethal dose. So the word could there. Well, and if Nicola's head was underwater, she could have inhaled 2 litres of water, which would have been a lethal dose. But what if Nicola's head wasn't underwater? What if she never went into that water? And what if she didn't inhale 2 litres of river water? You've got probably, you've got if, you've got chance, you've got could. All these words that are just sort of guessing words. Time to bring out the glasses. My eyes can only do so much. Need a clean though. There was a good chance Nicola's first breath was underwater. There was a good chance. Even if was above water, if she then became submerged, an increased heart rate and blood rate would have used oxygen at a rate where she would have lost consciousness within 48 seconds. However, this was highly optimistic, and it would be more likely have been 30 seconds with increasingly impaired consciousness. Again, if she then became submerged, an increased heart rate and blood rate would have used oxygen at a rate where she would have lost consciousness within 48 seconds. However, this was highly optimistic, and it would more likely have been 30 seconds with increasingly impaired consciousness. So we've got the word if again, we've got more likely. This is what we were all doing in our videos. If this could have happened, this looks dodgy, so I think this might have happened. All the things that they discouraged us from, they're using all the same language at an inquest, professional, law-abiding inquest. Is bonkers, isn't it? Bonkers. Such was the shock of immersion, Nicola would have been unable to stand up or float. How do they know that? Again, guesswork, I think. How do they know that? Everyone works, everyone's bodies work differently. Everyone's got different pain thresholds and shock thresholds. She would have died before reaching the first point in the river where she could have touched the bottom. Says who? Guesswork, and I think this, I think that. There's no concrete facts here. No real facts have come out of this inquest, I don't think. The flow on the river on the day Nicola died made it almost impossible to get out. But she could have. That's an opinion again. The flow on the river on the day Nicola died. Does anyone know what the flow was like? I always thought I heard back then it wasn't moving very fast. Didn't a few people throw a stick and then they went back an hour later and the stick hadn't even moved? Now they're saying, and that's a stick. This is a human body. So now they're saying the flow of the river on the day Nicola died made it almost impossible to get out. Well, almost impossible leaves room for almost possible as well. Nicola Bulley drowned and would have died in less than 10 seconds with 1 or 2 breaths of water, the inquest was told. How do they know that she breathed water straight away? That's just crazy. Nicola, and this is actually talking in fact, but how do they know this? Nicola Bulley drowned and would have died in less than 10 seconds with 1 or 2 breaths of water. I just don't get how they know that she breathed water. Which brings me on to my next point, right? How many of us have fallen into cold water before? Might have fallen into a pond, might have fallen into a river, might have fallen into a canal, been pushed into the sea, been pushed off a small cliff, into a river or a reservoir or whatever. Cold water. How many people have messed around on ice when you're a kid and then you fall through and you fall in? I know I have. And the body's natural reaction, yeah, you're going to be, you have a shock like that, especially in icy water. This wasn't icy water, was it? It wasn't iced over. When you get pushed or fall into water, the body's natural reaction is to keep the mouth closed. It's just natural, innit? You put your head underwater in the bath, like, you don't start breathing. The body's natural reaction is to keep the mouth closed, and you wait until your head is out before you gasp for air. There was a good chance Nicola's first breath was underwater. Pisses you off, doesn't it? I think they think that we're all idiots. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't check out. Doesn't make sense, none of this. Right, number 4. On the possible involvement of third parties. This comes from the inquest. All of the witnesses who were in the area did not know anyone suspicious in the area of the field where Nicola was walking. So what about the man in black and that scream that was heard? That was mentioned at the inquest. Although 2 women heard a scream, it was not of a nature which caused concern. Says who? Again. Who says it wasn't a scream that caused concern? The witnesses? People at the inquest? But again, that's an opinion. Again, that's subjective. If they wanted this to be foul play, this would be massive, this bit of evidence. They'd be like, 2 women heard a scream of a nature which caused great concern. Do you know, if they wanted it to be kind of go down the foul play route? But because this all seems very much like, this is an accident, this is an accident, this is an accident. Even things like that, they're just like going, nah, brush that aside, brush that aside. Yeah, there was a scream heard, but it was of a nature which, but it was not of a nature which caused concern. Again, says who. And it was some distance from where Nicola was. This grinds my gears, this next bit. At the time the scream was heard, Nicola was probably already dead. This is mental. I've never known anything like this in my life. She was probably already dead. All right then, I'll counter that. She probably wasn't already dead, on the same token. How do you know these things? Back it up. It was more than that. Why? This smells like bullshit to me. Number 5. Dog experts explain reason Nicola Bulley's dog was running back and forth when she was found. This is from the 10th of February. 9 days before she was found. Willow was reported from day 1 to be running between the bench and the kissing gate.
There was actually another lady who owns a caravan park here. She was the first person to notice Willow scurrying between the bench and the kissing gate just there.
She was the first person to notice Willow scurrying between the bench and the kissing gate just there.
And was bone dry. Now, Willow was Nicola's beloved dog. We've all heard that. So if Nicola fell into the river, why wasn't Willow at least at the riverbank causing a fuss? If she's running between the gate and the bench, so she's doing something, she's reacting to something, she's got some sort of distress, then she has the ability to be running around the riverbank. Even if it's between the riverbank and the bench where Nicola may have been sat, where her phone was. Why wasn't she heard barking? Why wasn't she trying to get in the water? Why was she bone dry? Why wasn't she trying to save Nicola? At worst way, you'd think Willow will be on the edge of that water, wouldn't you? Barking. Willow's a spaniel. And a quick Google search will tell you that spaniels take to water as naturally as ducks. So this dog that loved its owner, cherished its owner, wasn't even near the water when Nicola fell in. According to the inquest, Nicola fell in the water and drowned. But Willow's not out the water. which eyewitnesses have said from day one. That's a big one for me, that. That's a real big one. Dogs don't lie, do they? Please, again, comments. We need to all interact on this one. Number 6. If Nicola fell in the water and died almost immediately, which has been said, all Googleable, then she would have sank to the bottom, because that's what we've heard. If a body falls in water and dies, it sinks. So why wasn't she found by the countless search teams? Weren't the search teams and dive teams in the river on the first day? Up and down the river. So again, the narrative, she fell in the river, she's drowned. So why wasn't she found by the countless search teams, the police sonar equipment, the underwater divers, Peter Faulding's search team, and his sonar equipment? Peter Faulding said about the sonar equipment, and I like Peter Faulding, by the way. I think he's a great guy. I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character, and he seems like a great guy, and he's become a fall guy for this, and I feel so sorry for him. So big up to Peter Faulding. I think you're a cool dude, man, and I think you took flack for no reason. He said that you can put the sonar equipment down onto the riverbed and you can see individual stones and stuff like that, and sticks and all sorts. Certainly going to see a big human body. So Peter Faulding's team was there, the sonar equipment, the police sonar, the underwater divers, then you've got civilians searching themselves, and you've got the different types of search dogs, like sniffer dogs. Then how could she have been missed? How? That needs explaining. She goes in the water. She's fell in, she's drowned. So she's in that water from that morning, 9:30ish, on the day she went missing. But they were searching it with all of the above search resources that I just said, and they couldn't find her. Come on. What, has she turned into a ghost? It's another big one, that, isn't it? It's another big one. And there's no explanation for it whatsoever. Even if the humans that can make errors, which I don't believe that a human wouldn't find her. Dogs with the noses. There's dogs that literally their job is to search and sniff out corpses. She was dead apparently after 30, 40 seconds or what have you. I've heard 10 seconds, I've heard 30, I've heard 40. So she was dead apparently, but the dogs can't sniff her out on the first day up and down that river. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's insulting. Number 7 of 9. Why wasn't such a prominent figure in the search of Nicola Bulley and Peter Faulding not invited to speak at the inquest? Why not? For what reason? Why don't they want him to talk? That makes zero sense. He was made a scapegoat when she was found. A lot of people were like looking at him going, why didn't you find her? Why didn't you find her? Felt really sorry for the man. He spoke to the press and he made a very profound statement.
We've cleared completely the area where the bench is, about a mile up from the bench, but around where the phone was initially found. So we've done very thorough searches all the way down to the weir. The police divers have dived it 3 times extremely thoroughly, and they are highly competent, and we are, and that area is completely negative. There is no sign of Nicola in that particular area.
He also said, and I'm paraphrasing, he also said if she was in the water, we would have found her. I can guarantee you that. But she was in the water though. This is not me having a go at Peter Faulding, not by a long shot. Quite the opposite. This is me taking fault with the inquest. If she was in the water, we would have found her. I can guarantee you that. But she wasn't found in the water. The inquest says she fell in the water and she drowned. Peter's team said they guaranteed they would have found her. But they didn't. So explain that. How does that make sense? Peter's a very professional, very experienced in his job, I believe. And again, to reiterate, I think he seems like a great bloke and I do feel sorry for him. Some people have made him a scapegoat, but there's a lot of people that think that he did his best job. I don't even know if he was paid. He might have done it off his own back as a good man. So just so you know, Peter, if you do watch this, I think you're a top man. I think you did well. And I think that it's disgusting that you were made a scapegoat for this. Number 8 of 9. Nicola has time and time again been referred to as a very strong swimmer. Now, if she fell in the water, which was 3.6 degrees, and let's say for argument's sake that it was too deep to stand up, she could have swam to the riverbank. Again, the whole shock of the cold water and the body reaction putting her into shock, and her first breaths being breathing in water, which are theories. People that fell into the Titanic survived for 10 to 45 minutes. So Nicola falls into the water. She could have swam. She falls into that water. She's only going to be yards away from the riverbank, isn't she? And if she somehow got to the middle, well, she's equidistant from both sides. She could have swam to the riverbank and either A, grabbed something, tried to pull herself out, B, made some noise to try and get the attention of other people, C, swam to any other part of the river to pull herself out, and again, make noise the whole time. You'd be screaming for help if you're in that much trouble. And D, referring to Willow again, Willow would have been desperately distressed and trying to help its owner at the riverbank. Willow wasn't at the riverbank, was she? She was running between the bench and the kissing gate. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Keep the comments coming. Like the video if you are interested. Like the video if you are on the same wavelength as me and if you see a lot of these points that I'm making. Number 9 of 9, and then we'll conclude. A lot of people, especially those on YouTube, have been hounded and backed off by the police for theories, ideas, having their own thoughts on what they think may have happened, and for not believing the official narrative. Yet the amount of theories and guesswork and could have and should have and might have and ifs and maybes and possibly and likelies that have been used in this inquest, it's mind-boggling. They've done just what a lot of us have done. Theorised and conspired and had hypotheses, which we've all done. People out there that have gone, he did it, she did it, that's wrong. I think this person's involved. I think that person's involved. I think this happened. That's opinions, that's fine. But the inquest has used a lot of the same language that a lot of us have used. Ifs, buts, maybes, could have, would have, possibly. This might have happened, that might have happened. Possibly. Should, would, could, all that. They presumed, guessed and theorised like a lot of us have. This kind of stinks of a bit of a cover-up to protect certain establishments. from their utter incompetence from day one. No crime scene straight away, there was no police cordon at the bench area, and potential evidence was trampled on at the riverbank. And almost immediately, they went with the working hypothesis, that famous quote, working hypothesis of that she fell into the river, pretty much ruling out foul play from the off. I'm guessing that they would have had that as a line of inquiry, but publicly, their working hypothesis was she fell into the river, just immediately. But clearly, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't. You can't expect people to just go, oh, okay, yeah. She fell in and drowned. Too many inconsistencies. There's far too many. There's probably even more than the list I've even compiled. And if you've got more things that don't add up, somebody mentioned in a comment about the Fitbit and that it was tracking a heartbeat for like days after. I've not looked into that, but if anyone knows about the Fitbit and if it was tracking a heartbeat or what have you for days after, again, put that in the comments. I'd like to look into that. Right, now, something that I said I would address. So regards to my opinions and my suspicions of foul play in February, and again, opinions and suspicions, a lot of what the inquest has just been doing. Opinions, suspicions, theories, not many facts. So I said, again, regards to my opinions and suspicions of foul play in February, and I said that if it was proved beyond all doubt at the inquest that there was no foul play, I would apologise for suspecting foul play and suspecting certain somebody. Suspecting. But this inquest has been farcical and far from what I or many other people thought it would be. We thought this would be like some solid evidence, some really good accounts, some good witnesses, and we'd learn so much more. And I think if a lot of you look deep within yourself, you would say the same thing about this inquest. It's asking a lot more questions now than it's actually answering. I don't know how I feel about this now. I really don't know how I feel about this. It's all still very dodgy. It all still smells very fishy. This inquest, like I said, it hasn't really closed the book at all. It's kind of like opened a new book of new questions, and people are even more suspicious now. But this is what I will say, okay? Now, I haven't mentioned a word of my suspicions or my opinions or my theories since February, okay? Not a word about my suspicions. I thought about things and I thought maybe just leave them off for a bit until we get down to this inquest. Now, what I will say, if I was wrong in my thinking, if I am wrong in my suspicions, and if I am wrong in my theories, and people out there who I suspected or I had my suspicions about know who they are, then I am truly sorry. Truly sorry if I am wrong. This inquest hasn't really helped in any way, shape or form. So that's why I'm going to say, if I am wrong, then I'm sorry. And that's that. I had my reasons, I had my suspicions, and like I said, this inquest has been farcical, and it's just not answered a lot for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people feel very let down by it. I feel like the online safety bill is not too far away. I think we're going to be stopped from having our opinions on certain things. We're going to be stopped from theorising on certain things going forward. If there's a big event, if there's a big high-profile murder, if there's a war, if there's another virus and people think this, people think that, people have the conspiracies, people might have a tinfoil hat on, I think it'll be, shut up, you ain't talking about it now, otherwise you'll get in trouble. So this is where I think it might be going. This inquest has asked more questions than it's answered. And this is my closing statement about the whole thing. This whole thing stinks. And I'm done. Unless something huge comes out, you know, I'm done. Don't feel good about it. Don't feel good about the inquest. It still feels dodgy. It still feels fishy. I'm very, very sorry for the children. They've lost a mother. I think out of everything, you have to feel for those children more than anybody else. They're the most innocent parties in this, and I truly do feel sorry for them. I'm not pointing the finger at any individual, but this inquest has been a total letdown, and to say it for one last time, it does ask more questions than it's answered. And just to say, after all this time, she fell in the river and drowned, and give us tons of theorised ideas, very little facts of what's happened to convince us she fell in and drowned, doesn't wash with a lot of people. So to say after all this time that she fell in the river and she drowned, and to give us tons of kind of theorised ideas, ifs, buts and maybes, and very little facts of what's happened to convince us she fell in and drowned, doesn't really wash with a lot of people. Very disappointing inquest, very disappointing kind of ending to the whole Nicola Bulley saga. These are my opinions. These have always been my opinions. After studying the case for so long, no ill will has ever been meant for anybody. I just like to get to the truth of things. I speak from the heart. I speak how I feel, and I don't ever want to cause any harm. Nicola Bulley, beautiful, glowing young lady, and she'll be sorely missed by her children and her family, and she certainly won't be forgotten. The woman that hardly any of us knew, that we all feel like we did know. Rest in peace, Nicola Bulley. That's me. I'm done. Consider subscribing. Comment the video. I do want some interaction. Give it a like. It will help with it. And yeah, like I say, that's me. Think I'm done with this. Peace out.